In the immortal words of Elvis Presley, although I'm pretty sure he borrowed the phrase from Big Mama Thornton or Carl Perkins. Fuck it. Play the intro. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Night. Well, hello there, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, me, Marty, also known as PDawg Night on the internet. Welcome back to the PDawg Night channel. It is Tuesday, the 11th of August, 2020. And I'm so glad you are here. So, sorry, that's one of my favorite jokes. In the immortal words of Elvis, fuck it. So, that's in reference to the Seattle police chief, who reports said that she resigned. She retired. Whatever. She's leaving. She's had enough. She's had enough of those dipshits in her city council. Now, she didn't say it exactly that way, and apparently there's a press conference later this morning, although for me it'll be about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 11 o'clock Seattle time, and we'll see about that. And there's a bunch of other just news, but I said that I was going to try to talk about COVID today, and I got a couple articles about that. I got a couple articles. Shots fired outside the White House. Oh, there was some drama yesterday during a press briefing, although it wasn't super dramatic, but I think the president handled it like a professional. Lots of wild stuff going on. So before we get into the thing with the Seattle chief of police, let's say good morning to everybody like I do every morning in the chat. First today was Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Who gets the bell? Thank you, sir, for being here, as always. Also, good morning to Stabbing Joe Scarborough, who just missed it. Just missed it by that much. Also, good morning to Dark Isle. And Zero the Hero, who says, I'm not even close to being first. Lost about 3 minutes. And also, good morning, Big Assassin. Hello, Keenan. Cairo Alexander. Advocatus Diaboli, the Devil's Advocate. No Room for Squares. E. Michael. Aaron Meredith, how you doing? Nice to see you back. Grillin' Pirate Pete. Aloysius Fudpucker, nice to see you back too. Also to Rye Deos, making a very pleasant and rare appearance, but we're nice to see you back. I know sometimes you lurk because I think you got a work thing going on or something, but it's nice to see you here. Also, Tyler F. Raziel, that's a new name I haven't seen before. I'm glad you're here. You got the notice somehow. Hit that subscribe. By the way, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and the bell thing. You know how that goes. Good morning to John Smith. Good morning to Small Man. Good morning to Attack Alpaca, Jay Wolf, and is that everyone so far? I'm sure more people are rolling in. Looks like we got about, oh my gosh, we got 24 people here already. So some of you are out there lurking. Dog Thrapple, Scribe Light, thank you. Scribe, thank you for tweeting that article out. I decided to start the show with that one today. Also, good morning to Hehe. Here, he says. And Gamer Valine, what's up? Oh, people are just rolling in. I don't even have time to say them all. Oh, and also good morning to the gayest person on YouTube. That's their name. It says it right there in the chat, so you know. It says we need to deconstruct the idea of first as it's hurtful to marginalized groups. Well, because didn't Black Hebrew Israelite earlier said, I don't just identify as first. I am first.
That's right.
All right, so there we go. So anyway, lots of people rolling in. Hopefully I'll notice if you drop in, but you know, the people who haven't dropped in yet aren't going to know that I said that, so it doesn't matter. Let's get into the news though, because it's a lot of news today, but a lot of stuff just that I wanted to talk about, and it's just how it is. And so the first one today Thanks, hat tip to Scribe Light, who tweeted this out. We're just going to watch the video because the Seattle Police Chief Best has made a stunning decision to retire. And we're just gonna play the video from Como News. Scribe Light, Seattle City Council vote yesterday was about 2.5 hours of the most self-indulgent grandstanding wokeness ever. And then today, yeah, I don't blame Carmen Best for quitting. I don't either. Here's the thing. Like Scribe said in his tweet about this morning, they go through they make these decisions about the budget of her department. And look, Carmen Best has been doing, first of all, she's the first black woman to be the police chief out there in Seattle, right? Black Lives Matter. And they don't even involve her in the discussions about they're cutting her budget. She don't even let her sit at the table. So it's just crazy. Let's see, between the mayor holding her back from stopping Chaz and then being the sideline for budget. Yeah, it's bullshit. Read what Scribe's saying there in the chat. It's absolute bullshit. Good morning, Amy in Connecticut. How you doing? So we'll check this out. Let's check out this, the report from Como News. I don't know if I'll stop this too many times, and we'll see how it goes.
Deputy Chief Adrian Diaz will serve as the interim police
let me start
chief.
This over.
Breaking now at 11, Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best announcing her retirement in an email to the entire Seattle Police Department tonight.
It comes just hours after the city council voted to slash SPD's budget, a move the chief has fiercely opposed, saying she was not invited to the table to discuss efforts to change policing in Seattle.
A longtime veteran of the...
What? Not a woman. What's not a woman what? What did I don't know? Carmen Best is not a woman? Wait, who are you talking about, Cairo? I'm not sure what you mean there. Anyway, good morning, Sapphire Dragon and Select a Boy. Oops,
yeah, boy!
What the hell are you there? That's not what I meant to do. Let's see. Try this again.
Yeah, boy!
All right. Anyway, let's go back to this report.
The Seattle Police Department, who works closely with Chief Best, tells me tonight this was a bombshell.
Tonight, the council voted 7-1 to cut SPD's budget by 14% for the rest of...
Okay, so this is Seattle City Council. This person is insane. Kajama Swant. But she voted no. Now, you might have to guess. Carmen Best is trans? Carmen Best isn't trans? I'm confused. Carmen Best is not trans. The health director in the state of Pennsylvania is trans, but Carmen Best isn't. Carmen's a woman. Cis woman. Hello, Maddie. Hello, damn it, Chadwick. Now, Shama Sawant, the reason she voted no, she didn't think they were cutting enough from the police budget. So they all voted to cut the budget except for the one who wanted to cut it even more. Anyway.
Of 2020. It is not the 50% cut some activists were demanding and some council members initially supported. Councilmember Kashama Sawant was the lone no vote. Councilmember Deborah Juarez was absent.
We have team coverage on the fallout, starting with Como's Tammy Mutasa and the message the chief sent to her entire department tonight. Tammy?
Preston, this is a very shocking and disheartening announcement for the law enforcement community and the black community. Chief Best was the first black woman police chief in this entire department, and we expect to hear from her tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. at a press conference with the mayor. Now, let's take a look at this email that Como News obtained. Now, this was sent out by Chief Best to the police department saying she is retiring on September 2nd, not resigning like some media outlets reported.
And does it really matter if she's retiring or resigning? Either way, she's leaving. She said, well, again, in the immortal words of Elvis Presley, fuck it. Good morning, Richard Cranium. I already said hi to Aloysius. Biggest ass in 80. I think I got everybody so far. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it doesn't matter if she's resigning or retiring. She's leaving.
In the email, Chief Best says, quote, "This was a difficult decision for me, but when it's time, it's time." Adding, "I am confident the department will make it through these difficult times."
I don't know about
Chief Best's
that.
decision to retire comes just hours after the Seattle City Council voted for cuts to the department. The suggested cuts include up to 100 officers, including 32 patrol officers, 38 officers in specialized units like SWAT, Harbor Patrol, and mounted officers, 30 through attrition or retirement. And in a reversal, the council had voted not to cut the chief's salary by 40%, but instead by 6%. Now tonight we talked to
they
Jay
were
Fuda from Crime
originally going to cut her salary by 40%. Now she makes like $296,000 or something like that as the police chief. They were going to cut $150,000 off her salary. Now they changed that, but still, she's like, fuck it.
Shoppers about the chief's stunning announcement.
It's ludicrous. It makes me sad. Carmen went through the federal consent decree. She brought the agency up to the federal standards. We are a progressive agency here. And the fact that this council would negate all that she's done and try to do more cuts instead of be concerned about the public safety and pander to a very small percentage of our population here in this city, it's not right.
Ain't that the truth?
Chief Best says in the email, Deputy Chief Adrian Diaz will serve as the interim police chief. And the chief ends that email by saying after 28 years in the department, she is thankful to be with SPD and that she considers them family. Now, tonight, I also got a text from Black community leaders who fought for Chief Best, telling me that they'll be at that press conference tomorrow, rallying behind her. Back to you.
Tammy, thank you.
All right, so it'll be interesting seeing that press conference later today. I probably listen to it while I'm driving around. Although by 1 o'clock I should be done. But anyway, yeah, that's kind of the breaking news right now. As far as probably the biggest breaking news right now, that she's going to be resigning. And like someone said, it's jumping the sinking ship. Who said that? Gamer Vleen, I think, said, you're jumping off a sinking ship. And what do you do? I mean, this is a reaction to something that happened in Minneapolis. I mean, it was some big event in Seattle. And also, again, they're doing this over these, again, I don't want to minimize the people who've been killed by police unjustly, okay? In a way that is not justified in any way. Okay, I don't minimize the death of George Floyd, who, and they don't really know how he died. Yes, the coroner report says asphyxiation, but what causes asphyxiation? Was it the guy in the nest? But anyway, in any case, in that case, the officers are liable because of the situational awareness. The guys who killed Walter Scott, that was definitely that guy should be in jail, and he is. But again, these are such rare events, and they want to cut budgets of police departments all over the country. Are you kidding me? It doesn't make sense. And if you really want to solve this problem, do you cut the budgets, or do you increase their budgets so there's more training, so that they're able to maybe have more officers, and if an officer goes bad, they can get rid of them because they have enough officers? A lot of these police departments, as far as their formulas, don't have enough officers right now. And now they're talking about cutting them. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite, for the first super chat of the day and the top super chat of the day at the same time, because the first one is always the top one. Who says, where'd it go? There it is. Okay, let all the peaceful protests go to all of their homes and set peaceful fires.
That's right.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't say. Somebody said jumping ship. I thought it was you. Anyway, Camerly, I'm talking to you. Thank you, Black Hebrews. Yeah. You know what? I had to make that point again yesterday because someone on Twitter was saying, violence against property, or excuse me, property damage is not violence. What? The same people who say words are violence, saying destroying property is not violence. Now, if you look up, so right now every dictionary says that violence is something that has to do with people or property or buildings, whatever they call it. The definition of violence is included property damage, right? But this, like I said, it's the same people who say words aren't violence, and so I did my thing. I said, hey, okay. If you are in solidarity with these people who are rioting and setting fires and stuff, I got an idea. Go burn your own house down in solidarity. Have you done that yet? Please go do that. Good morning to Get Jedi Ghost Bear. Good morning, Slapper 360. Welcome to the show. All right, enough of this. Let's move on. So yesterday there was some drama at the White House, and we'll just go through a couple articles on that. Yesterday, the Secret Service pulls Trump out of a press conference following a shooting outside the White House. The U.S. Secret Service evacuated President Donald Trump out of press briefing Monday afternoon after gunshots were reportedly fired outside the White House. Fox News correspondent John Roberts reported shots were fired at 17th in Pennsylvania, which is right outside the White House. This was not initiated by the Secret Service, Roberts said. These shots came from somewhere else, and apparently now the Secret Service is rendering aid to someone who was hit. So here's the video of them pulling President out of the news briefing. If it goes here, there. That's weird, and there's no sound. I don't know why. Maybe this one doesn't have any sound. And it's not moving. It is a movie. It is a... Okay, well, there we go. Technical difficulties. So anyway, there they go. They came up to him. They whispered some words in his ear. He's like, what? Oh, okay. I'll go with you. And he kind of sauntered out with the Secret Service agents. So anyway, and then breaking, John Roberts Fox says someone who was shot at 17th Pennsylvania, which is right at the start of the White House complex. At that intersection is the Smithsonian Renwick Gallery and the Eisenhower Executive Office building. Let's see how long this is. Is it worth listening to, or will it play? Let's find out. Ex-Bubba Hotep is in the house. Also, Katie did skate. Thank you. Okay, the videos on this site are not working. Thank you, Ex-Bubba Hotep, with the 2222 and the new top super chat of the day. This has become my hello when I can catch this. Well, hello to you too, sir. Thank you so much. Very generous of you. And that's one of my favorite alerts, the shake weight alert. Anyway, so several minutes later, the president returned to the press briefing and said that law enforcement were the ones who fired at the suspect. There was an actual shooting and somebody's been taken to the hospital, Trump said. It was the suspect who was shot. Secret Service said in a statement, the Secret Service can confirm there's been an officer-involved shooting at the 17th Pennsylvania Avenue. Law enforcement officials are on the scene, more to follow. And the best part of this, though, is when Trump came back. And if this doesn't play, let me refresh this page to see if I can get the video to work on this page. Good morning, Katie did skate, by the way. I'm so confused about Trump being at the White House at all. I am too, because he left. He did leave, and now he was back. Yes, that is true, Kyrie Alexander. So yeah, he must have came back for something. But let's see if this video play now. Okay, I'm having okay, fuck it. I have international. Let's go to Twitter. Let's do this. Oh gosh. Sorry guys. Sorry for the dead air. Hey. All right, let's pop this up here. Today, holy crap. maybe my computer's having trouble processing shit. I know I have a lot of windows open, but usually I can brush right through some of this stuff. Richard Cranium. Oh, Richard Cranium, how you doing? Taught myself a new video production trick, low tech, but I'm a low tech guy. Yeah, good. Thank you. Good to hear that. Richard's been doing some videos on his channel if you want to check him out. Good morning, CNN Sucks, the most redundant name on the internet. Good Lord, what's going on with my internet? All right. Well, anyway. After the Secret Service interrupted President Trump's press briefing, a reporter asked him, "Are you rattled by this at all, Mr. President?" And he's like, "Do I seem rattled?" He's probably one of the most protected people on the planet, so it's all good. Anyway, let's just skip this and move on. U.S. Secret Service did issue a report on the officers involved in the shooting that occurred Monday outside, and here's the statement. If this pops up properly. Okay, well, maybe not. If you use Chrome, it's a RAM hog. Yeah, I should probably think about using something else for these, but at least I know that Chrome isn't gonna, well, I use Chrome and DuckDuckGo. I try to avoid the Google products lately, and I really don't want to use, Microsoft Edge has a new version out that might work better, but it doesn't work so good with YouTube still. So this is how we're going to do this. Let's see. Oh, good God. This person didn't die. Someone's talking about the officer had to take someone's life in the line of duty today. That's not accurate. The guy's not dead. He's in the hospital. Good morning, RVA Dog. Good morning, Grillin' Pirate Pete. Holy shit balls. Batman. Here, let me close. What am I going to close here? I'll close that. That's... All right, approximately 5:53 p.m. today, a 51-year-old male approached a U.S. Secret Service Uniformed Division officer who was standing at his post on the corner of 17th and Pennsylvania Avenue near the White House complex. The suspect approached the officer and told the officer he had a weapon. The suspect then turned around and ran aggressively toward the officer and, in a drawing motion, withdrew an object from his clothing. He then crouched into a shooter's stance as if about to fire a weapon. The Secret Service officer discharged his weapon, striking the individual in the torso. Officers immediately rendered first aid to the suspect, and DC Fire and EMS were called to the scene. Both the suspect and the officer were transported to local hospitals. The White House complex was not breached during the incident, and no Secret Service protectees were ever in danger. The Secret Service Office of Professional Responsibility will be conducting an internal review of the officer's action. The Metropolitan Police Department was contacted to conduct an investigation. So that's that. All right. Let's see. Let's move on. Come on. There we go. So now, I don't know if you've heard of this. You probably have. If you haven't, well, here we go. Here we go. Buckle up, kiddies. This is going to get extra special. There's the group behind Occupy Wall Street is planning a, quote, White House siege. I don't know if there's anything dumber than announcing that you're going to have a White House siege through Election Day. But anyway, it's time again for dramatic quote. Here's some. Well, here I'm going to skip that. Adbusters was the group credited with creating the Occupy Wall Street movement that occupied not only Zuccotti Park in downtown Manhattan, but much of our news coverage in 2011. They covered that. Occupy Wall Street never went away in spirit, though. In many ways, it set the stage for and is the inspiration of the current Antifa anarchist movement. Now Adbusters has a new project, a 50-day siege of the White House in the run-up to the November 3rd election. Good morning, Gunfox61. Nice to see you, my man. So here's this is... On September 17, 2020, we will lay siege to the White House for exactly 50 days. You know, let's look up the word siege, because I think siege has a very specific meaning. S-I-E-G-E, meeting. This is not smart, I don't think. I thought siege had something to do with violence. All right, here's Merriam-Webster's definition. Siege definition is a military blockade of a city or fortified place to compel it to surrender. Here's another one, dictionary.com. The act or process of surrounding and attacking a fortified place in such a way as to isolate it from help and supplies for the purpose of lessening the resistance of the defenders and thereby making capture possible.
Wow.
Do they really want to be using the word siege? Are you fucking serious? So anyway, here, let's just make this a little bigger for you here. September 17th is significant because that was the date in 2011 that the occupation of Zuccotti Park started. And so here's what they say on their website. Quote, all right, all you activists, it's been 9 years since we set off the political earthquake of Occupy Wall Street, laying siege to New York City's Zuccotti Park and inspiring thousands of similar protests around the world. Where is Occupy Wall Street today? Never mind. The Occupy anniversary arrives September 17, 2020, and it may be the perfect day to trigger, I don't know if you want to be talking about triggers around the White House, trigger another global Big Bang movement. A massive collective action of the sweetest kind of disobedience. The why hardly needs recitation, because for these 9 years, the shadows have grown only longer. Inequality has soared. Not a single Wall Street CEO spent a night in jail for his role in the 2008 financial meltdown. Politicians and corporate criminals continue to savage the public trust with impunity. And all the while, this howling void of a president, his sins, too many to blame, sits smugly atop a corona death toll that may surpass 200,000 Americans by Christmas. It's time again for dramatic, decisive action, which is why on September 17th, in the original and enduring spirit of Occupy, we and tens of thousands of our fellow citizens will stream into Lafayette Square in Washington, D.C. We will lay siege to the White House. Whoops, that's the wrong one. We will lay siege to the White House, and we will sustain it for exactly 50 days. This is the White House siege. The siege only works if it is sustained. We witnessed this, the multiplying power of a strategic occupation 9 years ago. You dig in, hold your ground, and the tension accumulates, amplifies, goes global. These people are nuts. Guess what? Wall Street didn't have armies. I don't know. Anyway, it's hard to know just how likely this is to happen. If it happens, the person currently occupying the White House, or if it happens, wait, what? It's hard to know just how likely this is to happen. If it happens, the person currently occupying the White House will be happy with the optics. Yeah, you know what? It'll be a siege of Democrats. Good morning, Keaton. How you doing? Nice to see you. Oh, Makito Programmer. Hello. What's up? Nice to see you. So, yeah. Okay. There's my question of the day. Well, it's kind of a multi-part question, and maybe you just think about this for the chat. One, will this? What's my question? What's my actual question here? This is nuts. But anyway, okay. How long of this siege, starting September 17th, because there's going to be someone who does it. How many days? And we'll write down or type in your answers, and maybe write it down so you can remember. How many days before and I'm starting with the date of the 17th. Okay. How many days before? Thank you, X-Bub Home Tech. I'll get to that in just a moment. Okay. How many days before someone actually attempts to breach the White House and gets shot on this siege? Or will it be completely peaceful? You can put 0 if you want to say completely peaceful. Good morning, Shiagrath. How you doing? And also thank you, X-Bubba Hotep, for the $4.99. Though they use weird words to describe insurrection, I'm telling you, they used a word that they probably shouldn't have used. They could have said occupy White House, occupy this square, do this, that, but to call it a siege, I'm not thinking that's a brilliant idea. A siege to attempt to close off the White House and try and force some issues isn't even tactically feasible. He has a helicopter. Oh yeah. They could certainly, if it gets a little too thick out there, they certainly can use helicopters there. I mean, they have a helipad. Oh, and also, you know what? Guess what? If you don't think they can clear a space for supplies to come in and out of the White House, you're the nuts. Anyway, so I'm thinking 4 days, 2.5 days, 1 day. You think someone will try to breach it the first day? I don't know. I'd say, well, okay, Dr. Black Crow. That's a new name. Good morning and welcome. I have not seen that name before. I hope you're, by the way, if you are new here or just lurking or haven't done so yet, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell so you get notifications, or you can follow me on Twitter, Minds, Gab, or Parler. I do throw notifications out there too, in case you're now. I'm active on Twitter. I'm not really active on the other 3, but I do put notifications out on all 4 of those platforms because some of you aren't on one or all of them. So thank you, and also share the stream, please. Share arrows down here somewhere, and super chats. Those links are in the chat, also in the description down below, or you can go to PDawgNight.live. I also have merch there, but not very much. Anyway, let's continue. There is more. Now, I have another article on the Seattle police chief resigning, but I think I'm going to skip it because I think we've done everything we want to do. Oh, no, there is one thing in this article that's new from the last article. So this is from the New York Post. Jenny Durkin. So anyway, the Seattle police chief says she's stepping down, a move made public the same day the city council approved to reduce the budget by as much as 100 officers through layoffs and attrition. So she's, we already know what she said, but Mayor Jenny Durkin made a statement, by the way. It is Dr. Black Crow to you, young man. Okay, Dr. Black Crow, I'm sorry. What did I say? Did I say something? Oh, did I just say the Black Crow? Okay. Yes, Dr. Black Crow, thank you for being here. I'm so glad you're here. 4 days, because I believe it's how long it will take for some idiot to get the courage to do something stupid because they think the numbers are on their side. Yeah, I was thinking somewhere between 4 and 6 days someone's going to try to breach. That is, see, the Secret Service, they really don't fuck around. I mean, it's kind of their job. I mean, like even moving the president out of the press conference yesterday because shots were fired outside. Their sole they have one purpose, and their purpose is to sacrifice themselves for the country, because an assassinated president is not a good thing. I shouldn't even use those words in succession, but because it makes me nervous. But hey, I'm going to go back to Mayor Durkin here. So Mayor Durkin, in an email to the police, Mayor Jenny Durkin said she accepted Best's decision with a very heavy heart and a very light brain. She says, I regret deeply that she concluded that the best way to serve the city and help the department was to a change in leadership, in the hope that would change the dynamics to move forward with the city council. Wow, that's kind of is it just me, or is that kind of a passive aggressive statement? Like I regret deeply that she concluded that the best way to serve the city and help the department was a change in leadership. That's not a very gracious. Is it just me, or doesn't seem all that gracious by Mayor Durkin? During the Best planned a Tuesday morning news conference, the mayor picked Best in July 2018 to lead the department. She had been serving as the interim chief at the time, a military veteran. Best joined the department in 1992 and had worked in a wide variety of roles, including patrol, media relations, narcotics, and operations deputy chief. So they're cutting. Okay, let's see. The cuts to the department have been supported by demonstrators who have marched in the city following the police killing of George Floyd in Minneapolis, in a whole nother 1,500 miles away. God. And again, here's the part though. So measures would cut less than $4 million of the department's $400 million annual budget. This year passed out of committee unanimously last week. On Monday, only council member Kshama Sawant voted against the budget package, saying it does not do enough to defund police. Sawant is one of those out there people who wants to abolish the police. So let's see. They currently have 1,400 police officers, and reductions fell far short of the 50% cut to the department many Black Lives Matter protesters are seeking. Yeah, because you're a small group of idiots who don't know what the hell you're talking about. Good morning, Adam Richard. All right. Anyway, so we already talked about that. Let's move on. Now, on the same kind of dynamic, in New York City, Black and Hispanic New York City council members trashed the defund the police movement, label it, wait for it, political gentrification. Oh my gosh. People love their buzzwords, don't they? Holy shit. Hi, Jenna P. How you doing? Black and Hispanic members of the New York City Council are firing back at colleagues who support the movement to, quote, defund the police, and, quote, calling the effort white-led and an example of political gentrification and colonization, a bourgeois liberal solution for addressing systemic racism. Sorry. It's like, can we just string together a bunch of buzzwords? A bourgeois liberal solution for addressing systemic racism, per report in the New York Times. Council members who represent minority districts say they aren't supportive of Mayor Bill de Blasio's plan to strip $1 billion from the New York Police Department, even if they are supportive of efforts to reform the police, restrict their use of force, and even reduce the number of law enforcement officers overall. Yes, because their neighborhoods are going to be the most affected negatively from this bullshit. Black and Latino council members representing both poor and middle-class communities of color, including Brownsville, Brooklyn, and Jamaica, Queens, wanted to take a measured approach to cutting the police budget. The New York Times says white progressives allied with some Latino council members from gentrifying and racially mixed neighborhoods, and two Black council members called for more aggressive reductions and reforms. God. One Black councilwoman described the efforts to the New York Times colonization pushed by white progressives. A Black councilwoman from Brooklyn called the movement political gentrification. I don't understand what she even means there. Other than the white liberals are going along with the tiny fraction of those people that are on the streets, because they're a tiny fraction of the population of New York City, but their loud voices and breaking shit sure is getting the attention of the city council, isn't it? So the problem, they say, is many who are supportive of the movement to defund the police don't have to live with the consequences. Yes, somebody gets it. New York City is already experiencing a spike in violent crime, and those who live in high crime neighborhoods expect the situation to get worse if law enforcement is removed completely. Although they're not talking about completely removing it, but yeah, somebody gets it. Some council members say they're being pressured to defund the police by people who don't even live in New York. About a week after the council's vote, Councilwoman Diana Ayala, who represents East Harlem and the South Bronx, reflected on the movement to defund the police, the New York Times reported Monday. She said she had received thousands of emails in favor of it, but that most came from people who lived outside her district. In another state. She also said she had heard from about 60 callers from East Harlem who had voiced their support, and half were white or new to the community. So, is that what she meant by the political gentrification? Anyway, instead, city council members who would prefer that the NYPD increase its transparency, limit what kinds of force officers could use, and reform its union. Support for defunding the police is limited nationally. According to a Gallup poll, only 25% of Americans support stripping some funding from police departments. More than 30% of those polled actually felt that police departments didn't receive enough funding. Yes! If you want police to be better trained and be able to do their jobs, you need more police with better training. And you need to be able to, if you have enough police, it's easier to get rid of the bad ones because you don't need the bad ones anymore. All you do when you do this is you hurt people. You hurt people. That's it. Wikipedia snippet. Good morning, Mike Savage. Good morning. All right, moving on. In California, the public health director has resigned after officials find massive discrepancy in reported coronavirus cases. Like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about corona now. My corona. California's public health director resigned suddenly on Sunday night after unidentified failures in the state's coronavirus reporting system created a backlog. Excuse me, a backlog of at least 300,000 unreported cases. Yes, I did say 300,000 unreported cases. Good morning, Midday Sun. How you doing? Videos, not video. Okay. Dr. Sonia Angel had held her position for less than a year and was one of the senior officials guiding the state's coronavirus response. Angel announced her resignation in a Sunday email to staff at California Health and Human Services Agency and released to the public. The letter says in part, quote, "Since January, when we got word of repatriation flights arriving from Wuhan, China, our department has been in front and center in what has become an all-of-government response of unprecedented proportions to COVID-19. Not one of our staff has gone untouched by the changes that have occurred, not in our professional lives or our personal lives. You have all stepped up to the calling. Some of us have done so by shifting your entire portfolio to emergency efforts. Others of you have kept our state's core public health work moving forward. Each and every one of you has been essential because we know that in the final calculation, health is not defined by one condition, disease, or experience. In the final calculation, all of our work in aggregate makes a difference. I remain consistently impressed and humbled by the expertise, commitment, passion, and kindness demonstrated by all of you daily. We have led with science and data, except for the 300,000, and with equity at the core of our intentions. As the first Latina in this role, I am very proud to have served this department, administration, and our state alongside all of you. 300,000 unreported cases. Angel did not specify a reason for a departure, though it comes as the CHHSA is investigating a reporting flaw in its coronavirus monitoring system that missed hundreds of thousands of cases. Just how the fuck do you do that? I want to thank okay, so anyway, blah, blah, blah. Gavin Newsom thanks her. CHHSA secretary added, I'm grateful, yada, yada, yada. Hey, California. Fix your shit. Moving on. More corona news. Hey, there's a study that finds that Sweden's refusal to lock down saved the economy without sacrificing lives. Yeah, did they flatten the curve? Nope. So Sweden has an intact economy, a citizenry with greater immunity to COVID-19, and a death rate per million that's lower than Italy's. Now, that's not all that impressive. Italy has one of the highest death rates in the world, but let's read the rest of this, though. Callie, go fuck yourself. No, they don't have to go. Well, I don't know. I have a lot of relatives in California, and I just don't know how they can stay there. Anyway. So, to prove a study isn't suffering from selection bias, one of the best methods is to find cases or studies with similar precepts to show different results. When conclusions and expertise are constantly challenged by counter-conclusions and counter-expertise, the better... Oh, let me pause here. I do have another super chat. Thank you, Bubba Hotep, for the devil's donation, 666. Have you noticed that Florida hasn't been mentioned in relation to corona since their deaths per day have slightly declined? Ain't that the truth, Bubba Hotep? Yeah, notice those, because it was so funny the other day. Someone had a chart comparing New York to Florida. Okay, and so they had this here. Let me put this up for a second. I got to pull this down. So they had the one chart over here, right? And it had New York, and then it had the chart over here with Florida. And in New York, it's showing how the curve went up here, and then it's going down there, and then they're showing Florida, and the curve goes up. Like as you're looking at the two pictures, the curve goes up about the same height, and goes down, but then you look at the base of the curve where it's 15,000 on the New York one and the highest on Florida is 5,000. And so it was just lying with graphics. I wish I'd pulled that up. I wish I'd saved that. It was so bad. Anyway, let's go back to this article. So after 5 months of total collapse of social life under forced quarantines, if we are indeed facing a second wave with no vaccines yet, it's time to declare that Sweden's approach was correct all along. While the majority of political leaders around the globe panicked, lost their nerve, and at least temporarily wrecked our economies, that wasn't the case everywhere. Refusing to lock down citizens over coronavirus, Sweden appears to have both managed to avoid an economic crash as well as a devastating death toll. As Americans and most of the rest of the world ponder how to handle a second or even third waves of the coronavirus and the prospect of further lockdowns, Sweden is now likely on her way to immunity. As the pandemic struck, the Swedes normalized as much as they could while maintaining a measure of social distancing. What Sweden didn't do, unlike most of the globe, is reflexively dive into a full lockdown scenario. Instead, they allowed life to go on, to continue as ordinarily as possible. Stores remained open, restaurants remained open, most importantly, schools remained open as well. The state banned public gatherings of more than 50 people, but any further social distancing measures were largely unenforced and involuntary. From the start, the Swedish government repeatedly made it crystal clear to the public that the battle against COVID-19 would be a marathon, not a sprint, and that many people would die. With all that starkly presented, the decision was made that mostly normal life was favorable to the alternatives, and herd immunity and economic stability would be the result. By every measurable index, Sweden came out of the worst of the initial wave of the pandemic relatively unscathed. Sweden's economy shrank by 8.6% compared to the European Union average of 11.9%. Countries with severe lockdowns like Spain, France, and Italy experienced even higher economic contractions at 18.5%, 13.8%, and 12.4% respectively. In short, by not completely cowering in fear and taking a few basic and prudent hygiene and social distancing measures, Sweden saved its economy and protected citizens from other evils of lockdown. In number of deaths, Sweden and Italy provide two completely different case studies. Italy chose some of the most severe lockdowns outside of China, but as Bloomberg reported, on a per capita basis, Italy's death toll of more than 35,154 comes to about 600 per million people, as does Sweden, 5,743. I think it's 6,000 deaths per million. Anyway, something like that. In other words, according to this comparison, the lockdown didn't affect the death toll one bit. Sadly, the harsh reality is that the folks most likely to pass away from the disease, namely the elderly and those with pre-existing conditions, were largely the ones who ended up dying from COVID-19, lockdown or not. As of August, Sweden's death toll per 100,000 residents was 56, lower than the United Kingdom's total of 69 and far lower than Belgium's figure of 86. Yeah, Belgium's is like the highest death rate in the world. But the most important, albeit controversial factor, is not Sweden's economy or death toll. For months, the U.S. and U.K.'s response to COVID-19 was to lock everything down and hope for a vaccine. While vaccine work is ongoing and threat of further spikes and waves of the virus suggests that lockdown strategy is doomed, many countries are on the verge of bankruptcy. More people are dying from natural conditions and diseases like cancer and tuberculosis. Children are falling further and further behind in their education. In short, there's no easy way out now. The sooner or later herd immunity will be the only way out. Thanks to the measures it took from the start, Sweden, according to a new study, appears to be on its way to achieving the elusive immunity every other country is craving right now. The analysis suggests that roughly twice as many people in Sweden have COVID-19 immunity compared to their counterparts in countries that locked down. The source of this potentially life-saving immunity is T cells, which help develop antibodies in healthy people who had no infection but were exposed to infectious individuals. The implication of the information contained in the recent study means that without wrecking its economy, Sweden ended up with around the same level of dead proportional to overall populations as other countries that did engage in massive lockdowns and will be more ready than most of the world to face future waves of the virus, as a recent academic essay suggests. I'm not going to read the rest of this, but I will put a copy of that that other article in the chat if you're interested, and you can finish that one up yourselves from the conversation here. We'll put that in there, and poof, there you go. Anyway, so there you go. Then the last one on coronavirus today is from Conservative Review. Let me fix this here. And this is and this is something that I was been talking about for a while. You know, we're testing and we're getting all these positives, right? They're reporting how all these new cases are out there. But is it because we're finding all the asymptomatic cases now, and so we're just causing more panic with this? This is from Daniel Horowitz, Mass Testing Results, Endless Panic, and False Positives. In fact, who was it? Which governor was it? Someone remind me. One of the governors. Was it Mike DeWine from Ohio who tested positive for coronavirus, and then they tested him again, and then he tested negative, and he doesn't have coronavirus? I wonder how often that happens. You'd think the governor of a state would get the best test, only the best test. Yes, we do the best testing. There's no better testing. It is a beautiful test. Imagine a virus that is such a serious threat that you don't even know you have it in most cases unless you get a test. The tail wagging the dog, the cat driving the horse. If we are now going to hold our nation hostage because of this obsession over PCR, polymerase chain reaction, swab tests, we should at least, very least, make certain they're accurate. What happens when we have expedited and chaotic test results What happens when we have expedited and chaotic test results driving an epidemic curve rather than actual symptoms? You get what happened to, he does talk about Mike DeWine. You get what happened to Ohio Governor Mike DeWine last Thursday. He tested positive for the virus after experiencing absolutely no symptoms, but he's such a VIP, he got a second, more accurate test that showed he was in fact negative for SARS-CoV-2. The same thing happened to Detroit Lions quarterback Matthew Stafford, who tested negative after receiving a false positive and was therefore allowed out of coronavirus prison. How many more people are really negative, and why don't people who don't have such connections get the same due process that DeWine was accorded before upending their lives because of symptoms milder than a cold or perhaps completely non-existent? And why won't this experience change DeWine's entire attitude toward treating every single COVID-19 case like it's a contagious pancreatic cancer, regardless of the symptoms or of whether we can even trust test results? This is a serious question that threatens the liberty of all Americans, as the FDA's most recent fact sheet on PCR test notes. The dangers of false positive include the following: a recommendation for isolation of the patient, monitoring of a household or close contacts for symptoms, pace and isolation that might limit contact with a family or friends, and may increase contact with other potentially COVID-19 patients, limits in the ability to work, the delayed diagnosis and treatment for the true infection causing the symptoms, unnecessary prescription of a therapy or treatment, and or the unintended adverse effects. That's nothing to sneeze at. Because our healthcare industry lost its collective mind, doctors and scientists understood the dangers of defining an epidemic by molecular tests that typically required labor-intensive lab studies to prove their accuracy. Mike Hearn published a fascinating blog report on July 26, citing a 2007 New York Times article about PCR tests driving pseudo-epidemics. So the point here is that this particular test isn't all that reliable. But yet we're still using it and still creating panic and still isolating people, and everything that you can do to make people afraid. But isn't that what the news is supposed to do? It's supposed to make you afraid of everything. And so he goes down here through a bunch of data, which I'm going to put this one in the chat too. You can read the rest yourself. Hang on a second here. Let's see. Let's put this in the chat, because I don't want to read the rest of it, but there's a whole lot more to it. But I did want to get down to here. So Harvard Global Health responded to a question. Okay, so here we go. So here's one highlight. States reported more than 800,000 tests for the first time. That's still only half the number of daily tests currently recommended, supposedly, right? So Harvard Global Health responded that day to a question about why the recommendations had changed to 1.6 million from 500,000 tests. The institute responded with a very circular argument. As infections rise, so does the number of tests needed. Say what? The 500,000 number was for the size of the outbreak on May 1st. On May 15th, due to the rise of cases, it was around 900,000. That's for mitigation only. Suppression numbers are higher. So they keep asking for more and more tests when they're finding them. But, okay, fast forward 2 more weeks to July 26th, and CNN is running banners touting this new number of 3.5 million to 5 million per day. Again, Jake Tapper states during the interview that this has been the recommendation for months. Well, first of all, that's bullshit. It's, you know what? Let me get off this for a second. So, if you're ever watching anything social media, people talk about COVID-19, okay? And I made this point about 2 months ago, but I'm going to make it again. there's so many people who say, for example, let's say they're criticizing President Trump. President Trump knew in January that this was coming, and he failed to act. Do you remember, how many people here remember what was happening in January regarding COVID-19? Anybody? We had barely even heard of COVID-19 yet. In January, China had just announced that they found this new virus on December 31st. Real quick, let me do this super chat real quick. Thank you, X-Bubba Hotep, with the 999. This is the Herman Cain donation. Thank you. Rest in peace, Herman Cain. X-Bubba Hotep says, crazy idea. Maybe we shouldn't have a virus that can mutate, quickly spread for a long and slow time. Yeah, right? It would have been better to get it all out of the way. Right? Right? So in January, Trump should have known and should have taken action. Well, okay, let me ask you a question about that. What action should he have taken based on what? Because in the United States, there wasn't a single case of COVID-19 that we knew about, although there probably was, and we didn't know about it. Thanks to who is that? What's that country called? What was that?
China is asshole.
Yeah, that's it. We didn't even have a single case till nearly the end of January. Okay, the first case, right? Hello, Becca. How you doing? We didn't have a single case, and they didn't know anything about it. They literally, I mean, honestly, the task force got together starting the last week of January. And they had very little information. They didn't know if it was transmittal human. The WHO was still telling us in January that there was no evidence that there was human-to-human transmission. We didn't know about it. So in January, they say, well, if he would have just had us lock down the country in January like we should have, could you imagine? First of all, because they already called Trump a dictator, right? Trump's a dictator? Imagine if he had shut down the country in the beginning of January based on a virus they knew nothing about, that the WHO just told us there was no evidence of human-to-human transmission. So then we get to the end of January, and we got a couple more cases, and they changed their mind about human transmission, and the task force and Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx and all those people sitting around a big table talking. And on January 31st, where they say, oh, yep, there's some issues here, and we've got our cases here, and Trump shuts down travel to China. And then they find that some of it's coming from Europe, so they shut down travel to Europe. And the whole ball starts rolling, right? But even in February and into March, Dr. Fauci himself, the one that everybody knows and loves and believes, right? The one that everyone trusts. Thank you. By the way, thank you. Who sent that to me? Cynical Lindsay. Everyone knows and trusts, right? The person who knows everything. What is it? February? I think it's February 26th. I've bookmarked all this stuff. February 26th, I think it was when Dr. Fauci was still saying that you don't need to change, you don't have to change any major behaviors yet. You can go about your life. You just got to be careful. If you're elderly or you have some, respiratory problems, you may want to not go on cruises or whatever, right? That was like the end of February. Now, if he's saying that at the end of February, but Trump should have shut down the country in February. Oh, by the way, there's that little problem that they called, what's that called? the states do this and the federal government can't do that and this and that. And they have their own response. Oh yeah, federalism. Federalism would have been a little bit of a problem, but no, Trump should have been a dictator, although we don't want him to be a dictator, but he should be dictating to us about dictating. I said dick a few too many times in that sentence. That was kind of weird. So what should have Trump, anytime someone makes that claim, he should have done it in January. He didn't do anything. Well, he did a lot of stuff in February. Yeah, there's some pictures of him on the golf course every once in a while. You know what? I used to golf 4 or 5 times a week when I was young or whatever, but I still got a lot of work done at work. That's what I did in my spare time. I don't care if he's golfing. They had the fucking committee. They had Dr. Fauci. Dr. Fauci was on the case. Right? Dr. Fauci was on the case. And so isn't Dr. Fauci the be all end all? The president did everything Dr. Fauci recommended. They made the White House guide for something or other, so coronavirus, this and that, blah blah blah. And all the states were going to follow that, except those governors who kept sending people to Expo Hotep, you are just prolific today. Top super chatter of the day. They kept sending people to those nursing homes, though. That wasn't on the recommendations. Thank you, Expo Hotep, for the 223, for the young lady shooting the 223, who says, remember, Trump was racist for shutting down travel, but he should have done it sooner. After 2 months of hindsight, that's the truth. Ain't that the truth, Ex-Bubba Hotep? Thank you again for the 223. You always know which receiver's open on instant replay, right? Yeah. So if you ever hear anybody saying that, ask them to be very specific. What exactly should Trump have done, and on what date? And then go look up what was actually going on that date. And I guarantee you, because they're talking about January. He knew. Some people are saying he knew in December. He knew because I remember it was in April. I don't remember, it was Jake Tapper, one of these morons on CNN, who said he's known about this for 3 months. Okay, so the date, I think it was April 6th. It was just right after my birthday. And he said, he's known about this for 3 months. And so I'm thinking to myself, okay, let me figure out, when was 3 months? 3 months, April 6th. Okay, so 1 month ago was March 6th, and 1 month before that was February 6th, and 1 month with that, this was January 6th. On January 6th, I got to think of my timeline here. On January 6th, I think that was when, so the China announced the virus on the 31st, even though they had their first case around November 17th that they found. Okay, and they had shut down travel for Wuhan, except for international travel, just within China. But international travel, they just let go. And, the Wuhan, there's the big daily flights to northern Italy where they had all the problems in Italy. Shocker. And then at January 6th, I can't remember what the case was. There was something happened on January 6th. That's a significant date. I'll look that up another time. Okay, fine. What should they have done? What should the president have done on January 6th? You morons. We didn't know anything. We barely knew about it. All we knew is that there were some people in Wuhan that they were starting to lock down. Oh, I think January 6th was the day that they shut down travel in Wuhan to other provinces of China, but they didn't restrict the international travel. So you couldn't go from Wuhan to Shanghai or Wuhan to Beijing. But you could go from Wuhan to Seattle or Wuhan to what's that city? What's the city in northern Italy that the fashion capital of Italy? Anyway, whatever that place is, Milan. You could fly from Wuhan to Milan, but you couldn't go within China. January 6th Corona timeline. Yeah, I have it somewhere. Anyway, so I guess our dictator was failing to be a good dictator. He's the worst dictator ever. All right, let's move on to another subject here because I'm running out of time. By the way, thank you again, ex-Bubba Hotep. You're a superstar today. Speaking of coronavirus, they're trying to fix out that coronavirus relief package. The relief package that the Democrats keep running out on.
He lost power.
What?
I don't know why. He lost power. I don't see anything, and I don't want to start flipping these and then flip you off.
Okay, I'll figure it out.
Just trying to use a saw.
Okay, I'm gonna have to pause for a second here, guys. Hang on. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Okay. Sorry, there was a shooting outside the property here. Okay, not really. Anyway. All right, let's get back to this. What the heck's going on here? All right. So speaking of coronavirus related items. So the Democrats and Republicans in the House and Senate have been having a sort of battle, right? They've been going back and forth on this coronavirus relief package. And so the Democrats kind of said, fuck it, we're not going to talk anymore because they want to spend a whole lot of money on a lot of things that not necessarily related to relief. And the Republicans say, no, we just wanted to do this. And also some people think that people shouldn't make more when they're unemployed than when they're employed from the government, and whatever, that's there's a whole bunch of formulas or whatever they're trying to figure out, right? Well, the Democrats have finally said, and it kind of relates to the title today in the immortal words of Genghis Khan. Fuck it. Genghis Khan and Elvis have a lot of things in common. So the Democrats, the Republicans are kind of mad now, though, because the Democrats have decided not only just fuck it, but really fuck it. Republicans are furious as Democrats leave town with no deal. Republicans in Congress are furious that the Democrats left town after failing to reach a deal with them on a Phase 4 coronavirus stimulus package. You know what? Stop calling it a stimulus. It's relief. It sounds so much better to be stimulus package. But anyway, President Donald Trump signed 4 executive orders Saturday in order to help the unemployed and the economy, effectively bypassing Congress to send money to Americans. So, I get it. This is the do something method of governing. I'm not fond of the do something method of government. I do not like executive orders. Period. I do not there is a legislature for a reason. However, I understand the chess move that the president is doing here, but and I know Obama did it too with the DACA and the ACA. I know, and those are wrong too. I am really against this kind of stuff, but I don't know. And no, not even but. I am really against this kind of stuff, but I understand it, and so on and so forth. Anyway, Democrats had already left town and doesn't hesitate to criticize the president's executive order. This comes after House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer announced in late July that the House would remain in session until a deal on the stimulus package is reached. But that did not happen, and now there are no House votes until September 14th, and members will have 24 hours notice to return for any votes related to the coronavirus. Trump's first order establishes a payroll tax cut holiday from August 1st, 2020 through the end of the year. The second would direct the Department of Housing and Urban Development and other federal agencies to forbid evictions. The third order established a $400 a week addition to the Paycheck Protection Program for workers. The fourth would help give relief to Americans' student loans. Now, not that I'm for or against any of these provisions, but politically, probably sounds pretty good to people who do not like the president. But he is the president, so no matter what he does to them is bad. Despite the short-term executive orders, lawmakers have left Washington to return to their home state. Now, this is the other thing. So it seems like they're just taking this as an opportunity to go back home. Anyway, because they've got some politicking to do, right? All the people in Congress are up for re-election. We'll see how that works out. Gave them a chance to return to their home states without a stimulus package and criticized Trump for signing the orders. On Sunday, Pelosi called Trump's actions absurdly unconstitutional.
Wow.
Now, she is kind of correct on that. Does anyone remember Nancy Pelosi come out and do a press conference after President Barack Obama announced DACA? Or to the unilateral changes the President Barack Obama made to the Affordable Care Act? He literally just changed provisions and changed requirements and changed things in that law. Did Nancy Pelosi ever come out and say those actions were, quote, absurdly unconstitutional? No, she didn't. Can you say no, kids? No. But Republicans in Congress have defended Trump's action of signing the executive orders and continue to put blame on Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer for not reaching a deal. I'm disappointed in Republicans for not saying this is unconstitutional. But I guess it's the game we're playing these days. Senator Scott appreciates that the president took action to help the American people and break the logjam of inaction since Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are refusing to compromise or negotiate in good faith. Pelosi and Schumer are just focused on the 2020 election and are demanding Congress to use this crisis to enact their liberal agenda with policies that have nothing to do with the coronavirus, Republican Florida Senator Rick Scott's office told the Daily Caller. Senator Scott wants Congress to stop laundering taxpayers' money intended for coronavirus relief through inefficient federal agencies, state governments, or bloated bureaucracies, and instead help the families and businesses that have been directly impacted by this crisis. It's time for the Democrats to come to the table and to actually do something and get something done and stop playing politics with Americans' livelihoods. Scott's office continued. And Republican Georgia Senator Kelly Loeffler weighed in on the failed deal when asked about the negotiations with the Daily Caller, and she said, "Once again, President Trump is showing real leadership for the American people while the do-nothing Democrats continue to play politics. The president's executive orders bring targeted relief immediately to struggling American families, businesses, and employees. We don't need blue state bailouts. We need more of the blue-collar boom that this president has created, and that's exactly what these executive orders will do." Okay. Other Republicans criticized, okay, you could read the rest of the criticisms, but anyway, like I said, can we just get these people to go back to work and do their jobs? Maybe. If you want to read the rest of that article, I'm putting it in the chat. Poof, there it is. Poof, there it is. Poof, there it is. Poof. Okay, enough of that shit. Let's see. Finally, there's a couple. I have two more here. Oh, and you thought the Democrats wanted to tax the rich. One of the little covered aspects of the debate over the current stimulus bill is Democrats acting as proponents of repealing the $10,000 limit on state and local tax deductions for politicians whose left flank is screaming to tax the rich. This is truly odd and utterly explainable phenomenon. But utterly explainable phenomenon. Yeah, so they're proposing to repeal the limit of $10,000 of state and local tax deductions. Okay. When Republicans passed the Tax Cut and Jobs Act, the standard deduction was increased significantly. This increase meant that for most taxpayers, including upper middle class earners, the best strategy was to take the standard deduction rather than to itemize. That's what we do now. The only individuals who take the SALT deductions are those who itemize. The Tax Foundation estimated that 13.7% of taxpayers would itemize in 2019. The vast majority of itemizers are the top 10% of income earners. Those households include those who earned $184,200 or more in 2019. These taxpayers would be allowed to deduct their state and local tax amounts from their federal tax obligations. Oh, but I thought Democrats wanted to tax the rich. The rub is that, we have another super chat. Thank you, Maddie, with the $5 super chat, who says politicians in office should be paid the minimum wage for their districts and only for the days they actually work. They should be banned from accepting PAC money. That's bell-worthy, absolutely. It's funny, they just they get paid a lot of money to go home and campaign, don't they? Thank you, Maddie, so much. So the rub is that in many Democrat-run states like New York and California, wealthy residents pay far more in state and local taxes than the $10,000 limit, and they want to raise that limit. This is for the rich. They want to They want to tax the rich except for the rich in their states. In 2019, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo got very mad at Florida for stealing some of his wealthiest residents. Facing it down a $2.3 billion budget shortfall, he actually went to Washington, D.C. to ask President Trump to reconsider the SALT deduction cap. At the time, Governor Cuomo stated that the top 1% of earners in New York paid nearly 50% of the state's taxes. He reiterated that recently when he told reporters he is begging wealthy New Yorkers to return home from their COVID-19 getaways. Not many are biting. Well, geez. If I'm a wealthy New Yorker and the state is making me pay through the butthole, I might go somewhere else too. And a lot of them are. And boy, Mayor de Blasio and Andrew Cuomo are not happy about it. Although Mayor de Blasio is balking at supporting Cuomo in inviting the rich people back. Oh, gee, who's going to fund all your shit that you want to do in New York City, de Blasio? De Blohardio? Cornholio? Anyway, that's hilarious that they want to give some tax relief to the rich now. Good for them. All right, one last article, and then we'll check if there's any breaking news. Oh no, I'm not going to do that one. It's okay, but I don't have time for it. Oh, here's the news that I wanted to talk to. So today is the day. This is I've been talking a lot about this Flynn case over the last several weeks. And today, the D.C. Circuit Court is going to rehear Flynn's case again, although this to the full D.C. Circuit. The D.C. Circuit Court will rehear Michael Flynn's case en banc, meaning the entire bench rather than the 3-judge panel, after having vacated the D.C. Appeals Court order for the lower court to dismiss the case. Flynn's legal nightmare continues. Background: the D.C. Court of Appeals ruled that Judge Emmett Sullivan must dismiss Flynn's case. The DOJ had found prosecutorial misconduct, including the refusal to hand over exculpatory evidence to the defense, no material basis upon which to conduct the initial investigation, as well as the discovery that the FBI career officials had determined that Flynn had not lied or committed any crime. Yet, the FBI's 7th floor leadership, Reed Comey, instructed FBI officials through McCabe to keep the case open. Subsequent text messages by Strzok, Page et al. Indicate that the FBI was looking for someone to hang him on. Flynn was never notified that he was under investigation and not told to get a lawyer. It was a setup ab initio. When the DOJ decided to drop the case, this should have put an end to Flynn's legal nightmare. Instead, Judge Sullivan rehired a counsel to argue why the case should still go forward. Flynn's new attorney, Sidney Powell, filed a motion with the Court of Appeals to compel Sullivan to do what he was supposed to, dismiss the case. Oddly, Sullivan had hired another lawyer, thus making him a litigant in the proceedings, to argue that he should be able to conduct a hearing on the Flynn case. Sullivan lost, and the appeals court remanded the case back to him for dismissal, and in a stunning but not surprising move, Sullivan appealed that decision. Think about this. The prosecutors, the DOJ, and the defendant are in agreement that the case should be dropped because there really was no material case to begin with. But the judge in the case begs to differ. Darba Puzzle, what's up? That's another name I don't see that often. Nice to see you. So the case now sits with the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals, which is scheduled to hear the case en banc. 11 judges will be present. The 12th had to recuse himself. This court leans heavily to the left. Many anticipate that the court will rule in Sullivan's favor and ultimately wind up in the Supreme Court on appeal, but we'll see. In a pleasant surprise, the D.C. Appeals Court, sua sponte, on its own initiative, has instructed the litigants, Flynn, DOJ, and Sullivan. Why Sullivan's a litigant in this case is beyond me, but he is. And now, well, here's the thing. To be prepared to argue in court as to why Sullivan should not be disqualified from hearing the case due to bias. Now, that is an interesting thing. So here's what somebody was doing an analysis the other day. This is not my original thought by me. Hello, L. Wolf. How you doing? This is not an original thought of mine, but it's one that I've heard. So I know that I'm brilliant. I know I have a nickname, Lawyer Dog, but you know, I only play one on the internet. What they think is gonna happen is the appeals court is gonna do two rulings here. One, that the DOJ, they're going to scold the DOJ for dropping the case, but they're also going to scold Sullivan by telling him that he's turned himself into a litigant in the case and thus can no longer judge the case. I think that's what's going to happen. While we may think the case will be remanded to the district court, allowing Sullivan to conduct his phony hearing on Flynn, the judge insists that he has not determined whether he would ultimately rule to dismiss Flynn's case or not, but wants to decide after a hearing. The fact that the court has asked for oral arguments and on disqualification means that this determination is not a slam dunk. While you're listening to the arguments, keep in mind that it is Trump who is the real target, not Flynn. By continuing a fraudulent counterintelligence investigation against the former national security advisor, Obama officials, based on false information in the deep state's FISA application, were allowed to spy on Flynn and those who were talking to him, namely President Trump and his cohorts. Also keep in mind that the January 5th, 2017 meeting where Obama and key members of his cabinet met in part to discuss the Flynn case and how to keep it going. In scores of unmasking requests made largely by officials unconnected to the subject matter area of Flynn's work, e.g. then UN Ambassador Samantha Power. Importantly, it was the current Democratic presidential nominee, Joe Biden, not his chief of staff, but Biden himself, that made the final unmasking request of Michael Flynn. Oh, he just shows up everywhere. If the court doesn't ultimately disqualify Judge Sullivan, the whole case is likely to play out as a long, drawn-out political drama leading up to, until the election. If that happens, it's no coincidence. So, yeah, I think the circuit there is like 7 Democrat appointees and the rest are Republican appointees. I can't remember which one had to recuse themselves, and I don't know why, but who knows. All right, Lindsay sent me a good article here. Do I have time? Let's see. Or it's a thread on Twitter. Let's see. Oh, I'm not going to have time to go. I think I've seen this one. I read this the other day. Or when's this from? Yeah, this is from yesterday. This is the one I read yesterday. You know what? I'm going to just put a link to it here for now. Maybe we'll go through it a little bit tomorrow. But thank you, Lindsay, for sending me that because I'm running out of time here. I just want to check real quick to see if there's any other breaking news before we go. On top of the Twitter Explore tab, looks like we have New Zealand records its first COVID-19 cases in 102 days. So there's some new cases in New Zealand. How could that be? New Zealand was the greatest country on earth when it came to COVID, but apparently there's new cases now they're found. Knicks hire former Kentucky associate coach Kenny Payne as a new assistant. Okay. Kenny Payne was a pretty good player back in the day too. Let's stick with news though. New news. Despite scientific skepticism, Russia registers world's first COVID-19 vaccine. Yeah, right. President Trump says college football is making a tragic mistake if the 2020 season is canceled. Let's see, that's from an hour ago. So everyone's going to be bitching at Trump about football. On Tuesday morning, President Trump joined Clay Travis's Fox Sports radio show, Outkick, to discuss college football and an array of other topics. During the interview, Trump said college football players are physically in extraordinary shape, so they're not going to have a problem with battling COVID-19. Oh boy. That's just, I can already, I'm not even going to read the tweets, but I'm sure America made the Krasensteins, Brian Krasenstein and his uglier twin brother who tweet under the name of one of their wives, Mrs. Krasenstein, would probably say something like, the only tragic mistake that has been made is having you as a president. I should just do you know what I should do? I should just have a Trump tweet reply generator. That would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? A Trump tweet reply generator. All right, let's go. What else is new? Let's see if there's anything else big here. Let's see. Democratic National Convention. Oh, that's popped off of there. Okay. Here's why city planners are calling to defund the police. I don't care. They're morons. Want more diversity in camping? Hey, do you want more diversity in camping? Well, you know what? A lot of people, a very diverse group was camping out in the middle of Seattle recently. People of color make up a small percentage of campers in America. One modern barrier to entry, the cost of gear. The nonprofit called BIPOC Camping Kits is trying to change that and make the outdoors accessible to everyone. Fan-fucking-tastic. Moving on. Let's see what else is new. Democratic National Convention announces its speaker lineup. Oh, Barack and Michelle Obama, Bernie Sanders, Bill and Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and Jill Biden are among the speakers announced for the Democratic National Convention on Tuesday. The event will take place virtually over 4 nights from August 17th through August 20th. Okay. I can just imagine what the ratings are going to be like this year now that all the conventions are virtual. Kind of like Joe Biden getting 29 people on a live stream one day, or 19 or whatever it was. Did they announce anybody else? Let's see. Oh, this is it. Oh, so here's the lineup. Monday, Michelle Obama and Bernie Sanders. Tuesday, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton. Oh, I wish it were a press conference. I would love to hear Bill talk about a certain tropical paradise he'd been heard to have frequented a few times on a special plane. Just saying. And Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez on Wednesday. Nancy Pelosi. Yay! Or not. Hillary Clinton. Elizabeth Warren. Barack Obama. Thursday, Joe Biden, Tammy Duckworth, and Kamala Harris. Wait a minute. Wait 1 minute. Oh, they have a few more in here, but I'm not going to do them all. But Val Demings and Susan Rice are both not listed as speakers. Both are likely VP picks, as is Warren and Harris, who are listed. Speaking separate nights, there is a reserve spot for VP nominee on Wednesday. The speculation is going to run wild. Well, you know what? If they have Kamala Harris on Thursday and Warren already listed on Wednesday, I don't think they're the vice presidential nominees. Val Demings could be. I don't know. Susan Rice. If he picks Susan Rice, that's just to keep her from being indicted. I don't know. Anyway, anything else new that a lot of people are going to be talking about this today. Let's see. Storm of quakes sparks worries about a larger quake in San Andreas Fault. Yeah, there's been several earthquakes out in California. If you live out that way, please be careful. And I don't know what you do to keep yourself from an earthquake, but do whatever you need to do. Okay. Oh, and finally, why the pandemic is hitting millennials the hardest financially. The economic fallout of COVID-19 has been harder on millennials, who are already indebted and a step behind on the career ladder from the last financial crisis. This second pummeling could keep them from accruing the wealth of older generations. Okay, that's a Wall Street Journal article. You can look that one up yourself. That's it for today, folks. I can't take any more. Thank you so much for being here today. Oh, all you need. I didn't even see you come in. How you doing? Thank you so much for being here today on the Morning Night Live. As you know, I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 1500 GMT, for all you people in other parts of the world who don't keep up with American time zones, which is fine. You don't have to. 1500 GMT. Before you go, if you haven't done so already, whoa, wait a minute. Why is my thing not showing me any of this stuff? Anyway, before you go, hit the like button on your way out the door. And if you'd be so kind, share the stream. That's the biggest thing. We're growing slowly but surely. And if you are watching on replay, leave a comment in the comment section down below. And finally, donations and super chats like X-Bubba Hotep and Maddie. And that's it today, but that's cool. Oh, and Black Keeper is your light. Thank you so much for your super chats today. You can do that in the Streamlabs link that usually shows up in the chat or in the description down below. That's it for today, people. I gotta go. My name is PDawg Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawg Knight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawg Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawg Knight, and I'm out of here.